My name is Nicholas Quigley. I'm an analyst who works north of the city, and let's see how much I can inspire you with some of the coolest man-made structures ever made. Hit it. I know what you're thinking. This isn't a man-made structure, but it's a metaphor. Work with me. Much like climbing the tallest mountains in the world, we are constantly pushing each other to build higher and higher, and skyscrapers nowadays are records meant to be broken. 8 out of the top 10 tallest buildings in the world today were each built at some point in the last decade. We are in a golden age of architectural and pinnacle engineering. But a lot of things prevent these things from being built. They have to withstand natural disasters like earthquakes, floods, now terrorism. Otherwise, they will topple faster than a normal Jenga tower. For example, the Transamerica Pyramid in San Francisco features at its base the shape of triangles, also found in many bridges to provide structural support in earthquake-prone San Francisco. It's very, very important that these buildings actually stand up. Workers also die building these things. During the construction of the Empire State Building, 5 workers died in separate incidents, and it's still happening today. That paired with zoning regulations, governmental approvals, all kinds of things, and costs also prevent these things from being built. Speaking of the Empire State Building, it was the first building in the world to feature over 100 floors, and it was the tallest in the world for over 40 years. The United States pioneered this era in engineering. Nowadays, we have to come up with 2 new definitions for skyscrapers because they've grown so large. Skyscraper actually is the least defined out of this. It's kind of just something that's part of a city's skyline. That's about the best definition we have. Obviously, super tall and mega tall, we have more clear things for. The tallest building in the world today is the colossal Burj Khalifa in Dubai. This is over a half-mile tall. Imagine that. Think about how much time it takes for you to run a half-mile and then go straight up. That's how big this thing is. Another huge one is the Mecca Royal Clock Tower Hotel in the holy Saudi city of Mecca, where millions of Muslim pilgrims make a pilgrimage every year. It overlooks the Kaaba, the holy black Q building you see there. Now, back in the US, we have formerly the Freedom Tower, now named the One World Trade Center, that stands at a symbolic 1,776 feet tall. But it's actually just 1 out of 7 buildings in the World Trade Center complex. This rendering shows buildings 2 and 3, which are proposed and should be built in the next 2 to 3 years. The whole complex is complete with the 9/11 Memorial and Museum and a transportation hub modeled after the style of Grand Central Station. Another very tall, mega tall structure of significance is the Taipei 101 in Taiwan. This held the title of the world's tallest until 2010, and now it's dropped all the way to number 5 on that list, which gives you a sense of how quickly these things are springing up. It features a 728 steel ton mass dampener, which acts as a pendulum at its top floors between the 92nd and 87th floor in the Pacific Ring of Fire where it's located. What about Baltimore in all of this? Our tallest building is the Transamerica Tower that was built in 1973, and it's 40 stories tall. We do, however, have some very large development on the horizon. Controversy aside, the billion-dollar Harbor Point development project between Fells Point and Harbor East is moving forward. It features a 350-foot tall building, which will add another notch in Baltimore's skyline. But it's actually built on the old site of the Allied Chemical Plant, so won't get into that. Anyway, what you see here is a 40-story hotel building built in China in just 15 days. That's just over 2 weeks that this thing sprung up using a technology called prefabrication. Essentially what that is they take blocks like Lego bricks in a factory and they stack them up on site in a very quick manner. Sky City that you see here is over a half-mile tall, and the construction company says that they can build it in just 90 days using that same technology. Such speed is incredible. Now, if you don't have $1 billion to sink into one of these, I recommend checking out SimTower, the greatest tower simulation game that came out 20 years ago. It was developed by Maxis, the same company that brought us The Sims and SimCity, and it's awesome. The tallest proposed building today is the Kingdom Tower, which will one day overlook the Red Sea in Saudi Arabia and probably be the tallest building in the world. It's funded by a Saudi prince who has admitted he just has way too much money and doesn't know what to do with it. And let's face it, you're building the tallest building in the world, you're probably compensating for something. Now, what I want you to take away from all this is not only that all of these things are amazing feats of ingenuity, engineering, and architecture. The next time that you're in New York, Shanghai, or Dubai, don't forget to look up.